Hello and welcome everyone. Happy to see you on this amazing, unique and life-changing period of time on this eclipse, in this eclipse season. And this is actually our first eclipse in 2023. So it's very significant for all of us collectively, but of course for all of us it's very a personal experience, a very personal journey, especially because it happens in the sign of Aries, in the first sign of the zodiac. And this one is a total solar eclipse, which means it's a new moon eclipse. When it's solar, it's a new moon. When it's lunar, it's a full moon eclipse. So we have a total solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. And this is the second new moon in a row that happens in the sign of Aries. So it's even more significant because of that. We had new moon in Aries 2 weeks ago, and 4 weeks ago, new moon in Aries, but that one was at 0 degrees of the sign. And this one is at 29 degrees, so the very last degree of the sign, plus it's a solar eclipse. So it's very different, but it's very much related to that energy as well. And even though it's a new moon energy, it's also an eclipse, and it's also happening at this 29th degree, known as an erratic degree, where we have some urgency, we have a sense of urgency to do something. And since it's happening in Aries, there is a sense of urgency to just move forward, to go and get done with something, to go and initiate something, to do it as quickly as we can. But this is not really the perfect time for making some major decisions, for doing some major steps in our life, because eclipses definitely bring on their own life-changing events, life-changing relationships, life-changing circumstances, life-changing and love-changing disconnections and connections, unions and separations. We are moving back and forth with ourselves and with others and with life and with our different timelines at the same time. Eclipses are huge karmic points where we have an opportunity to release huge karmic massive karmic energy. Karma is burning during this time, and Aries is a fire sign, so we can burn this karma, we can burn huge amounts of karma in a quick time, and it's really powerful time. And this can be a point where we are faced with something that may be even scary, but that turns out to be very powerful, that turns out to be something that we prayed for, that we wanted to achieve in many lifetimes, that we prayed for in many different lifetimes. So we are maybe now achieving this, and it may not seem as something good for us at first, but it will turn out to be perfect. It will turn out to be much better than we could imagine. So we are understanding now that this is our natural need. Our natural need is to express ourselves as this, and this is what Aries teaches us, to express ourselves. And that's our greatest challenge. Our greatest challenge is to be ourselves. And we need to work on this individuality, to work on our authenticity, to do our job, to be who we are, not to play, to imitate others. As I say many times, let's not be copies, let's be originals. We are born as original, but somehow through life we start copying others. So let's stop copying and let's return to our source selves, to our greatest resource, where is our source. And we definitely need some kind of a spiritual passport to reach our higher selves, to reach that higher level of being. And for that passport we need, that's our ID. So our spiritual ID, what is our spiritual ID? We may ask ourselves, because that's more than our face, that's more than our physical experience. Even though Aries is our physical body, our face, our head, That's Aries as well. That's why that's personality. We have all in our IDs our face scan. That's our identity. But what's our spiritual face? How do we know that we are unique? What is our unique expression of who we are? And this is a very fated and destined energy. Whenever we have eclipses, this is the time when things happen that are meant to be. So these are non-negotiable things. These are things that may be out of our control. I mean, not maybe, but they are definitely out of our control. So these are intense and dramatic situations, but they are also very liberating. This is like our karmic medicine. This is a time when we discover our karmic medicine and we can work with them. So we are shifting between the future and the past, because at eclipse time we have either conjunction or opposition with the north and south node of the moon. These are the moon's nodes. The moon's nodes are known as dragon's head and dragon's tail. Dragon's head would be the north node. The north node is our future. It's what we project. It's what we want to achieve. It's the point of our highest expression. It's our dharma. While our south node is the dragon's tail. It's what we are attached to and what we need to detach from. These are the things that we have been repeating over and over through many lifetimes, and that we are attached to, that we have a difficulty to move on from. So this south node is the past, and it's something that we need to move on from to reach the north node, to reach our highest expression. And this is where we are feeling the push and pull between the past and the future, between the tail and the head. So what tails are we dragging with us? What tails do we feel are pulling us down? Because we have many tails. We have many tails. We have our ancestral tails. We have our karmic tails. We have all kinds of tails that we are holding on to, and our attachments and detachments. So what we are attached to, we will go through the process of detachment, and this process can be a bit uncomfortable. But as I said, this what happens now may be the best thing that is happening to us, because eclipses align us with our soul's purpose. And this eclipse squares Pluto, and Pluto is at the first degrees of Aquarius. Pluto just recently entered Aquarius on the 23rd of March, and this eclipse in Aries makes a square. So the sun and the moon in Aries, on the very last degrees of Aries, make square with Pluto. And Pluto is the planet of transformation and death and rebirth. And Pluto doesn't ask questions. Pluto just, does what it has to do to align us with our soul's journey. So Pluto doesn't want us to feel comfortable. Pluto wants us to push us out of our comfort zone. And this is definitely a time when we may face some loss. This is what eclipses are also teaching us. And I have to say over and over again, whenever I'm talking about eclipses, that eclipses teach us that nothing is ever truly lost. Things are just being transformed. So when something leaves our life, there is definitely something new that comes in. And we are mostly resistant in these moments. We resist those changes, and we want to hold on to what is familiar to us, what is known, even though it may be exhausting us, even though it may not be healthy for us, even though it may be preventing us from growth. But we somehow developed that attachment, emotional detachment, and this is holding us in its claws. And Pluto and eclipse helps us to break through these claws, to break them, to break the chains, to break the karmic chains as well. So we are now thinking also about the times before, when this series of eclipses was active, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, and also 18 to 19 years ago, because eclipses repeat themselves. They repeat every 18, 19 years. They repeat the cycle. So around, April of 2004, what we were doing back then, what we were going through, what big changes have been going on in our life during that time, and also somewhere around the late 2013 as well. These periods of time are interesting, and this eclipse also shows us that something needs to be eclipsed out of our life and eclipsed into our life. So whatever is lost, it's time for it to go. So it served us. This is what served us, and the role is over. So some role is done. We are done with some role. We have learned it. We have overgrown it. It's outdated. It's no longer serving us. So it's time for a new role to come in. It's time for a new chapter, for something completely new, for a new stage, for a completely new setup on the stage, for new lights, for new clothes, for all the new, everything new. The whole setup changes, and this eclipse triggers the new set of eclipses that will be happening in the next 2 years. And this is the cycle of eclipses that will happen in Aries and Libra, in Aries Libra axis. And we are also finishing the eclipse that started in late 2021 in Taurus and Scorpio. So we will have another eclipse in 2 weeks, which will be a full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, and that one will be the last eclipse in the sign of Scorpio in that series of eclipses that have been going on in Taurus Scorpio axis. But we'll talk about it in 2 weeks. But they are connected, just so you know, they are connected. So this is a time, and the time between eclipses is very intense. So it's all very active. It's not only one day. Eclipses are felt 4 to 5, 6 prior to their exact date and after to their exact date, and their influence is being developed and unfolded in the next 6 months. And they are also affecting us in many years to come. And they also help us resolve things from 9 to 10 years ago, and also 18 to 19 years ago. So this is, eclipses also teaches that there is no such thing as linear time of the past, the present, and the future, but it's non-linear, it's cyclical, it's spiral, and we can jump in from different timelines. So these laws of time are not really working. So we may experience this in our life and through our dreams as well. It's the eclipse of the mind and the heart too. So we may also see that some people behave as they are not themselves, but we may also feel that in our own behavior. Those moments when we say, I don't know what happened with me, that wasn't me, I wasn't feeling like myself, or I cannot believe I said that, or I cannot believe I did that. Those moments when we don't really understand where it came from and why we acted like that. And especially because this is Aries and it's ruled by Mars, and Mars is in Cancer right now, so we may be a bit passive aggressive, and we may experience this passive aggression with others too. We can be overly reactive, emotionally overly reactive. Eclipses in Aries, and Jupiter is still in Aries now. Chiron is in Aries. The Sun and the Moon also in Aries. But luckily we have a lot of Taurus energy too. We have North Node in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus, Mercury in Taurus. So this is amazing because it's helping us to ground ourselves, to calm down this Aries energy. And it's a time of transition from Aries to Taurus, because these are the last degrees of Aries. So we are transitioning from that first impulsive reactions of just let's do it, let's go and get things done, let's initiate something, let's start something, into the more energy of embodying that idea. We can embody it, we can materialize it, we can really manifest it, we can build things. And this is where we see what it takes, what it costs, what it takes to build things that we want to start, that we want to initiate in that Aries moment. So new adjustments are demanded, and we need to adjust ourselves to these new energies. But we are also faced with compulsions of habits, and especially our hedonistic habits. And we are going to see how much we are being a slave to our hedonistic habits. And some of us may be really shocked by by how attached we are to these hedonistic habits, whatever they may be. If we are doing them too much, if we are repeating something too much, this may be taken away from us. But it's for our greatest good, really. It's for our connection with our true selves. Remember, Aries, I am, but not the affirmation of my being, not of my subjective personality who reacts and who is not listening to others, who is thinking in terms of cause and effect, but I am just as a presence. Again, this I am stands in this non-linear time. So this is what Aries' highest expression would be. The lowest expression would be I am all that I am and this is all mine, for example. So we are now facing these hedonistic habits, and we are transforming them and transforming ourselves. It's time for radical changes. Eclipses are trajectory shifts, as I said, destined and fated events and relationships and meetings and conversations and topics and sudden situations as well. But we may experience some kind of a blackout. We may experience some kind of darkening of our consciousness, where we don't see clearly. We don't see things clearly that are in front of us. We only see one step in front of us. We cannot see a couple of steps in front. So that's why it's not really a good time to make some big major decisions, even though some situations may happen where we may feel we are pushed to make some major decisions. But let's remember, we have this Taurus energy, and we should take it easy, calm down, ground ourselves, take some time to let this energy just move through us, let ourselves channel this energy within ourselves, and we will see, it will show us definitely what's going to happen. So we will have more clarity about making decisions, and we may not even have to make any decisions because these energies will do it for us now, if we trust the process. So we are really seeing ourselves as gifts. My identity, my authenticity is the gift of God, the gift of the Creator, the gift of my higher self, call it as you will. So what I am and who I am, no one else is. And this is the greatest feeling that the one can have with the self. I am who I am and no one else is me. I am the only one like this. You are the only one like that. And there is the beauty. And through these things we are finding some karmic medicines. We are really discovering these karmic medicines. But I said we may feel really strange because this affects our head. And if we are too much in our head and in our body, we forget our true selves. And this is what pushes us into conflicts with others. So we may see this energy of Mars being a bit awkward because it's in Cancer. Mars is in its fall when it's in Cancer. It's not really feeling great while in Cancer because it cannot express its drive fully while in Cancer. But it can be good for some other things. And Mars is also squaring Chiron during this time. Mars in Cancer makes a square with Chiron in Aries. So this opens up a huge space for healing. Huge space for healing that primal wound that I spoke about in a video of full moon in Aries. Yes, it was a couple of months ago about this primal wound. Whenever we have Chiron, especially now in Aries, and now it squares the ruler of Aries, so these primal wounds may be triggered again, and we may behave in a way that we don't want to really behave. We lose ourselves, we lose our authenticity, and we are taken over by some different energy, and we have a need to really find that remedy within ourselves, and this is what helps us find the remedy. These moments when we are taken over and lost, this is when we search for those remedies, and it can be frightening because we are not seeing clearly. But these are the things that get us out of our roots, our ruts. It uproots us as well. So it's taking us out of our comfort zone where we've been hiding for too long, and the way that we have always been, the way we've always lived, the way we've always worked, the way we've always done relationships, the way we've always eaten, the way we've always relaxed and take rests, and the way we've always been in every way is being largely disturbed, because we have to be disturbed now. We have to be disturbed, and we can definitely go through this liberation, but first we have to change ourselves. We cannot expect changes to happen if we continue doing the same thing over and over again. And the fear may be a huge factor now. Fear is always there, especially around eclipses time. Fear wants to consume us, and if we are not too rooted in ourselves, in who I am, if I am not rooted in who I am, if I'm doubting life, if I'm doubting who I am, if I'm not trusting life, if I'm not trusting the universe, then this fear can consume me easily and quickly. And it's funny because we give it attention during this time. We can give attention to those fears. It's the same like that. There is some story I just remembered about the person who just learned to ride a bike, and so he or she, they are the beginners, and they have the huge road in front of them. So they are riding the bike, they are pedaling, they are riding the bike, but they see a rock on the road, and the rock is not big. The rock is just a regular rock on the road. It's not very big, but their whole intention and attention, their whole attention is focused on that little rock on the road, because they are afraid they are going to hit it, even though they have a huge wide road in front of themselves and they have so many things to look around. It's a beautiful surrounding and it's a beautiful weather, but they are afraid because they are the beginners, and they are just completely focused on that rock, and they will hit it because they are completely consumed by it. And now there is another opposite example, a person who is, let's say, professional in riding a bike, and the person wants to hit the rock exactly, the person will miss it because they have a need to hit it there, but they will miss it. And the one who doesn't want, who wants to avoid it completely, will hit it. So it's very important to know these things, to train ourselves mentally, and to try to detach from all those attention-seeking obstacles, because we shouldn't be focused on obstacles. When we are focused on obstacle, the obstacle will come to us. So we should be focused on things that can resolve it. We are focused on the resolution. We are focused on an image that shows us that we have passed by this rock and we didn't hit it. So let's have an image that we want to see, not be focused on the image that we don't want. So this is also another advice. Let's not be focused on things that we don't want, on things that we are against. We should never think about things that we are against, because that's how we feed these things. So let's starve them. We need to starve our fears. We need to make them so skinny that they lose their strength completely. So let's starve our fears. It's not so hard, really. And this time of eclipse and any eclipse time is perfect for starving our fears and for understanding that we should be focused on things that we want, the things that we are for, not the things that we are against, because this only gives huge amount of energy to those energies that we are against, so they will turn against us as well. So we can really liberate ourselves and change our identities during this time, but change our identity in a way that we are closer to our true selves, change our personalities, and think about what these things can help us understand what was the karma about in those times when this eclipse was happening before. I said those 9 to 10 years ago and 18 to 19 years ago. We can now understand these karmic patterns and lessons that we've been through back then, and lessons that we have learned during those times may bring us benefits and rewards now, but lessons that we have skipped may come back now in order for us to learn them and to acknowledge them. So things come back to us in some way, and this is the path of self-discovery. And this whole world is trying to make us be someone else. If we look at the world, if we look at everything that is happening around us, all the signs, commercials, movies, everything is somehow trying to make us be who we are not. Even though they may be messages to be who we are, but they are there are sublime messages behind them that are sneaked like a spy that actually tell us to be like to create some idols outside of ourselves. And this is not our path. The whole world trying to make us someone else, but the whole system is designed to make us believe that we should, that we should run for somebody else's dreams. So our task is to fight for who we are. So to be the warrior of my own journey, to be the warrior of who I am, to burn this karma, to burn this anger, this rage, these tears, and to release them in a safe way, not to allow them to burn me from the inside, but to find a way for this destructive anger to transform it into some passion. All this anger is a fire energy, that's a fire element, and we can use that fire element for some amazing things. And it's really important to know what is our passion, what are we passionate about, really passionate about. And remember, passion is not the same as lust. We are talking about our passion, our what really motivates us, what really inspires me, what really makes me connected to the spirit. And there will be those of us who are resisting these changes and who are resisting this whole reality, resisting everything that is happening globally in the world and personally in our individual lives and in people's lives around us. And there will be those of us awakening. So we will feel this also. We will feel the energy of resistance and awakening at the same time. And this Aries energy is energy of warrior and courage and boldness and bravery and a pioneering spirit, pioneering things. And it's time for us to be proud of who we are, to move forward with who we are, and to learn to stand up for ourselves, to learn to stand in our strength, in our courage, in our resilience, and to maintain a positive attitude, to maintain this attitude with ourselves, to behave exactly like those warriors, to walk with our head straight, not looking down, not bowing our heads. We shouldn't bow our heads. We should keep our heads high because we have to see the road in front of us, and we should look up many times during the day, every day, because we have lost the connection with the sky. So we have to take a look up and look in front of us, and to, you know, to understand that we have to cultivate gratitude as well. Gratitude, never to be forgotten, this very important thing, and to make it clear, we are being now, there are things that are clear, things that have been unclear, things that have been somehow hidden from us in some tricky way, things that we've been completely insecure about. We may suddenly have some huge resolution, even though these are the things that usually happen around the full moon, resolutions and things that are hidden, brought in the light. But this is eclipse, so it's different. It's the time of major goodbyes and hellos, of major endings and beginnings. So it's different. It's not a regular new moon. So it's a powerful time for burning up all emotions and all things. So it's an opportunity to just burn it all out, to burn all those damaging patterns. And this burning can also burn us in some way, but this won't be something to worry about too much, because sometimes we have to burn ourselves on this journey, on this path. And this is, you know, something is being emptied from ourselves. There is an empty space that we feel inside of us, but this empty space means that, you know, something needs to come in and fill that space, and something will definitely come in to fill that space. But we shouldn't just do things for the sake of filling up that space, but we should enjoy this emptiness for some time, and enjoy the opportunity to stretch through that space, to stretch ourselves into that space, to stretch our perception, to feel the wide energy of who we are, the vast energy of who we are. It's really an opportunity for some wider collective healing too, that is happening in our psyches. And emotions, you know, we are going to be dealing with these emotions of anger probably, and feeling of injustice and lack of trust, lack of trusting ourselves and trusting others as well, things not happening as quickly as we want them to happen. But this is time to train patience also, and to quiet the mind, because this is also a huge mental frequency. The moon is not only emotions, the moon is also our mind and emotions. So mental frequency and practicing quieting our mind, it's about some raw truth, and it's about things that are, you know, that have that ultimate energy, something that feels like it's the ultimate, it's the necessary journey, it's the inevitable, and it's time when some secret doors are opening for us, when we are asking ourselves why we are alive, asking some essential questions, and understanding who we are, understanding why we are here, understanding the process of the surrender, and understanding that we're not going to remain in our bodies forever. We are, you know, going through different changes all the time, and surrendering is something that we are definitely learning in this future process, not only because of this eclipse, but because of all the energies combined together. We can never look at only one aspect detached from all others. We are looking at the whole picture of these energies. So we have eclipses in Aries, eclipses in Scorpio, Taurus, we have Saturn in Pisces, we have Pluto in Aquarius, and all this Taurus energy right now. And when we take it all together, we are now expressing and manifesting these energies in a different way. and we definitely still don't understand who we are. And this is now a great collective class. We are all on this class of learning who we are, and it will be a very funny class as well. It will be intense, dramatic, but also fun and entertaining at the same time. And it all depends on how we look at these things. How are we looking at these lessons? And there are many great quotes that come to me while I'm talking about these things. And let me just remember this one that says, there are no friends, there are no enemies, there are only teachers. So this quote is something that will be important to know during this whole period of time. I mean, it's important for whole life, but now it's way more important to know. So remember, there are no friends, there are no enemies, there are only teachers, and teachers are there to be respected in every way. And things are not, there is no strict energy of something, like when we say this person is like this or that, I am this or I am that. No, we are all of that. We are this and that and much more than this and that. It's just like there is not one shade, one concrete color. The color is changeable. It can shift through many different variations, and so do we. Our personalities are going through many different layers and changes, and so this is how we are going to learn more about who we are. And also another quote that says, if you are irritated by every rub, how will you ever be polished? So this is again something very important to know during this eclipse season. That as many things may happen on our road, on our journey, no matter how many bumps on the road we find, no matter how many obstacles we meet, no matter how many triggers we go through, we are just being polished over and over again. So we have to accept these changes, and it will be much less painful for us, no matter what it is. But eventually we will see that these changes that we've been afraid of are actually things that we've been praying for. They will lead us exactly to the place where we want to be. And this is very important also to know that we have to do our best to do our best on a spiritual level, to cultivate our spiritual connection, and not to forget that we are all whole as we are, and we shouldn't see ourselves as some kind of storage. We are treating ourselves as a storage for information, a storage for knowledge, storage for relationships, for memories. But storage is not the same as the source. So we should remember that there is a source that is always being refilled with new, fresh, alive water, like those well springs. You can take as much water as you want from those well springs, but the water keeps flowing, the new water keeps coming, and it's always fresh, new, and alive. So it's not the storage. In the storage you can only store things, but they are dead. They are not moving, there is no flow, there is no life there, it's just stored. And so let's remember, we are not storages, we are sources. And these sources lead us to infinite resource and ocean of who we are. And it's really, now it's time for action. It's time to go, it's time to move. We are filled with the energy of fire, and we can do things, and we can come off certain things. We can release our many addictions to those hedonistic habits that I've talked about. So the question is also, how are we nurturing ourselves? Do we know how to nurture ourselves? Because when we nurture ourselves in a real way, we don't have that need to be dependent upon others. Because when we trust ourselves and when we nurture ourselves in the right way, we can never really feel betrayed. We can never really feel hurt from others, because we know that others are on their path, they have their journey, they have their troubles, they have their demons, they have their problems, and they are projecting their inner reality. So we are not interfering with them. We are letting out others learn as well. We are not trying to change their inner projections, because even if we want to, no matter how strongly to help them change their projections, we cannot do it. So it's time for us to deal with our own things and try to change our own, to clean and clear our own projections and perception. We now have these great tools for cleaning and clearing those filters through which we are looking at life, to clean and clear our lenses, and to filter ourselves beautifully, to take spiritual showers every day, because work on ourselves is an everyday job. That's a 24/7 job. It's not something that we do for some time and we are done with it. So we have gone through some inner process of introspection, and we have dealt with it, and we have learned who we are, and now we trust ourselves. That's not how it works, because if we let ourselves live again normally in our routine life without working on ourselves daily, without introspecting, without observing, without talking with ourselves, without healing ourselves every day, we will again fall in those karmic loops. That's how it happens. Just like the dust that keeps falling on the things, if we are not cleaning them every day or every couple of days, if we don't clean our home, our space very often, it will be very dusty. So it will take more time to clean it. We will have to do some dirty job to clean those spaces and places. So it's the same with our mental and emotional and spiritual bodies. It's the same thing. Just like with our physical body, we have to take shower every day if we want to keep our bodies clean. So we also have to do our mental clearings, emotional clearings, spiritual clearings, and showerings every day if we want to be in the good condition, in a good condition and shape and form in every way, good shape and form, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, we have to do this every day. It's a 24/7 job. And if we don't do this, we easily fall into those illusions where we again find ourselves involved in those games and conflicts with people, in our superficial chasing games of life, trying to achieve things, trying to hold on to things that are temporary, that are not permanent, trying to build things that are based on temporary values instead of on permanent values. And so this is really something that is very important to know. These eclipses and Pluto in Aquarius these are changes that will be very active in our life for many decades. So it's not a joke. It's something that we really have to work on seriously, especially also with Saturn in Pisces, some serious inner work. But it doesn't mean that if it's serious that it's not fun, because actually when we do that inner work, it becomes very exciting journey. There is nothing more exciting than that. There is nothing more important in life than working on ourselves and with ourselves, because this is the only way that we can really establish a great connection with life, with others, with our families, with our partners, with our friends, with animals, with trees, with skies, with planets outside of us and within ourselves. because when we align these energies within ourselves, we align those planetary, we have our own solar system within ourselves. So when we create harmonious solar system within ourselves, that's when all these planetary energies and aspects and transits that happen are actually always happening in a harmonious way with us. And actually all these things that happen in our life are all those things that we feel are uncomfortable, are actually pushing us into direction of achieving harmony with ourselves, because we are in this harmonious position already. So only if we are in a disharmonious position with ourselves, if we are doing something that is against us, this is when life makes an intervention and, you know, does some things, you know, either removes something from our life or puts us in a certain situation that we feel like it's too much for ourselves. But this is what helps us break through those patterns and programs that are making us feeling limited and imprisoned in every way. So we are clearing the air. And also Mercury is stationing retrograde on the 21st. So only day or two after this eclipse, Mercury stations retrograde in Taurus, and Mercury will be retrograde until the 15th of May. It's all connected. So on the 15th of May, Mercury stations direct, and on the 16th of May, Jupiter enters Taurus, where it will stay for a whole year. So this is a great cosmic dance. And on the 6th of May, we have a lunar eclipse in Scorpio, and these pairs of eclipses, this one in Aries and the one in Scorpio, they are both ruled by Mars. Mars is ancient ruler of Scorpio and is the ruler of Aries too, so Mars plays an important role. And the other set of eclipses that will happen in October will happen in Taurus and Libra. So these are Venus signs. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So we have Venus and Mars energy as well. Again, this duality, the masculine and feminine. But again, the energy that teaches us that we as beings are much more than masculine and feminine division. We are much more than that, but we are into this world where duality works like that, and we shouldn't ignore the duality. I see many teachings, modern teachings that push people to neglect the duality, to just live in oneness, but that's impossible in this reality where we are here right now, in this dense material 3D reality. That's impossible. We would disintegrate if we would live in oneness in this reality. But we can reach that state within ourselves. We can become aware of it and live in the space of duality through being in oneness within ourselves, but not to neglect duality. Of course, we shouldn't neglect it. We cannot ignore that this is the world of duality, that we have male and female, that we have left and right, that we have day and night, that we have dark and light, all these oppositions, seemingly oppositions, but they are here in this life, and we are living according to those cycles. So we are doing our best to really reach that level of seeing everyone as our teacher and as a member of our family. So if we could treat everyone in that way, this whole world would change very quickly. But we shouldn't work in a way of changing the whole world. We know this already, but of course changing ourselves, but by changing our perception, by changing our attitude, by changing our behavior, we are changing behaviors of others towards us. We are changing the whole scenery around us. We are changing the whole reality automatically. This is what happens without our special effort to concretely go and change some things. This is what happens as an automatic alignment with our highest intentions and purpose. So when we change ourselves and our perceptions and behaviors, when we transform ourselves, and when we, it's very hard to change our beliefs and perceptions. It's not really something easy, but in the eclipse time, this is what happens, whether we want it or not. And when these changes happen, as long as we don't resist them, then we are aligned with what is, and we can accept what is, and we are going to be asked to deal with what comes up, especially now with this Mercury retrograde. So it would be a good time to go over some things, to review our life, to review our values. Mercury in Taurus values, our concept of values, our priorities in life, our connection with nature, our ability to embody and materialize things from our more subtle reality. And it's great time for finishing the unfinished business and for receiving some second chances. We will have some second chances to go through reconciliations, to reconnect with certain people, to connect again with people from the past, to fix and correct some things that we messed up, maybe to go through forgiveness processes. Mercury retrograde is really much more than just losing our keys and devices and seeing the breakdown of technology. Of course, those things are also there, but Mercury retrograde is retrograde very often during the year. It's 4 times retrograde, so it's not something spectacular that happens only once in some period of time, but it's something that we keep misunderstanding. Mercury retrograde it's much more than that. It's our messenger from within. It's a time to turn inward when Mercury is retrograde, to turn inward and to reevaluate things, to reassess, to reconsider, to just sort things out, to work things through, not to hurry, not to be in a rush, not to be impatient, but to really trust life and trust the process. Some things, happen spontaneously. Our plans may be changed, our schedules may be changed, things are called into question, and we are wrapping up loose ends. It's not time for big launches, for publishing things, for doing things that are brand new, but it's very good for finishing things that we have already started, or the things that we have planned prior to this 21st of April. Then it will be good for completing something and for finding things that we have lost, not only material things that we have lost, but for finding some values and priorities that we have lost within ourselves. And we are now being more open to those different viewpoints and different perceptions, and this is what helps us connect with different manifestations of who we are. And we are learning not to be too attached to things. As I said, this energy of detachment is very strong now. Pluto in Aquarius will also teach us a lot about detachment from the things that we are so strongly attached to. And we are now also learning a lot what is not healthy for us, what is actually working against us. We are breaking through obstacles. We are breaking free of certain structures, of some legal structures as well, of system structures. And we are becoming more aware of our power. We are taking our power and using our power. And we are done with something. We don't want to repeat something where we see that the results are always the same, and we are aware enough and mature enough to see if something is pushing us down. We are definitely more aware of those things, even though in some period of time we may feel blinded a little bit, because I said people behave strange during eclipses. They are not themselves. That's why we have more incidents and injuries and accidents during eclipses. It's like the energy of eclipses are like 10 full moons, for example. And it's important to know this and to be more cautious, to remember to just breathe, to remember to relax, to remember to be rooted in who we are, to remember who we are eventually, because we have forgotten this, and to stop putting things into the storage, and to stop taking things out from the storage, because this is when we easily spend our resources. But to find the source that is infinite, to find the abundance. Jupiter is in Aries, the abundance of who we are, the abundance of my unique personality, the abundance of my unique individuality. How can I be more aligned with the truth of who I am? You know, we are doing things that bring us more value, quality, and pleasure, and it's a spontaneous energy, and it's definitely showing us that we can do it. We can go, we can move, we can go for it, we can stand up, we can do things we couldn't even imagine doing. We are going to do things despite the fear of doing them. This is what this Aries eclipse is about. You know, time of rebirth and renewal, of regeneration and rejuvenation. And this will also be very strong in lunar eclipse in Scorpio, the power of regeneration. And, you know, even though we are afraid of doing something, we are going to do it despite that fear. And this is the highest expression also of Aries. And, you know, we are going places we've never been to. We are meeting people we've never dreamed of. We are experiencing things we've never seen. You know, it's very hard to imagine something that we have never seen or heard of. Can we imagine something completely new? Let's play with ourselves in imagining these things that we cannot at all imagine. Is it possible at all? But that this is what we are going to experience. We are experiencing things that we maybe felt only to some degree through our dreams, perhaps. These kinds of things are very important. And the study of ourselves, to study who we are. This is, you know, the highest education that there is. The study of who I am. And to remember that saying, know thyself. To know thyself is to love thyself. And yeah, and I noticed in a previous video there were some comments saying that they didn't understand how self-love works and why self-love important, because they think it's some Hollywood programming. But this is, as I said before in this video, how they subtly put something out there, but there are subliminal underlying layers where these programs teach you the opposite, not to love yourself. And to love yourself means to know yourself, to know who you are, because when we don't know who we are, we cannot love ourselves. That's simple. And if we don't love ourselves, we will do things that are hurting us, and that's why we experience things that are hurting us. For example, in our relationships, this is where we experience most of the hurts and betrayals. In all our relationships, we experience betrayal from a friend, from a partner, from our family members, and we think it's their fault. It's not nobody's fault. It's just a life's game of learning to love ourselves. Because if we don't truly love ourselves, we will experience these things continuously. We will feel hurt and betrayed by others. But if we truly love ourselves, we would never allow these things to happen. And even if something happens that would before hurt us, now in the state when we love ourselves, we won't feel hurt or betrayed by somebody's action, because we give them space to express themselves, to go through their own journey, because we know they have their own demons, they have their own journey, they have their own experience. Of course, I'm not saying that, for example, I have achieved this level, but this is something that we should all work towards to achieve this. You know, to know ourselves, to love ourselves in a way that we don't allow the external things and relationships to hurt us that much. Because if we truly love ourselves, we would know what's best for us. But again, let's remember, there are no friends and no enemies. These are all teachers. Everyone is a teacher. Everyone. Those people who hurt us and betray us, those closest people who love us, who teach us, everyone is a teacher. Everything is a teacher in this life. The good and the bad is a teacher as well, and everything in between. And, you know, some of these energies are also reminding us that all these things that we are experiencing that are hurting us, or that are much older than we are, our pain is probably much older than we are physically old in this life, because we carry that pain through many lifetimes. So there is also another quote, I think it's also Rumi, I quote him many times. He's channeled greatly through these videos, and this quote says, "Know that one day all your pain will become your cure." And this is really the truth. So these eclipses and these energies now that are very strong are also reminding us of this truth. And this is true always, not only during the eclipse time. This is always true, that all the pain that we feel can and will become the cure. And it's really amazing when we think in this way, when we change our perception of these things, because this is when we have an ability to walk through that passage and to get out of that karmic loop, to get out of that vicious circle that, you know, we keep repeating, where we keep falling on the same rock again, where we keep focusing our whole attention on that one thing that we are afraid of, like just not to happen again, just not to repeat again, just not this to happen. But why is our focus not on the things that we want to happen? Why is it so strong on this side? Why are we so attached to those things? We can break through these fears. This is the time when we can do this. And again, one more quote from Rumi, do not feel lonely because the entire universe is with you. It's really like this. When we have this faith in knowing that the whole universe is on our side, the whole life experiences are on our side, they are working for us, not against us, this is when we can really make some magic happen. This is when we can really live the magic, and we can really become the essential, authentic beings of who we are. So this is supercharged energy. It's a new cycle, new life changes, new life chapters, new developments. I mean, new everything, and it can accelerate and move quickly. This is energy that reminds us of what makes me me. What makes me me? Understanding what we want. We usually don't know what we want. We have no idea what we want. Now, if the God came down, or the Creator, the higher self, whatever you call it, if it came down and asked us, what is it that we want? What do you want? Would you know? What would be your answer? This is also a great question to ask. If I was asked, what do I really want? What is that thing that I want in this life right now? What would that be? And what does this tell me about myself? We have no idea of what we want, but now it may be a time when we are discovering this. It's a self-discovery energy, and it's the energy of yes, energy of affirmations. So we are feeling like we are leaving parts of ourselves behind, parts that we have outgrown. We are definitely leaving them behind, because those things are not connected to our true selves. Those things are not resonating with who we are becoming. And we may see and we may be surprised by who we are becoming compared to who we thought we were becoming. And we may be beautifully surprised. And as I said, changes and dynamics that are happening in this period of time between these eclipses and around the time of these eclipses may be a bit scary and uncomfortable and not wanted, but remember to stay rooted in this trust trusting that the whole universe is working on our side, and that things will probably, I mean definitely, develop into something that is much better than we think it will lead us into. We have all the ingredients to create the life that we want. We have all the ingredients, but we have to do something with those ingredients. We cannot just have them around. We have to mix them to create that something. For example, if we are going to create some beautiful meal, we have all the ingredients for that meal, but there is no meal. But there are ingredients, but no meal. So what do? We take those ingredients and we make them into the meal. So we have these parts, these tools. We have all the tools and equipment that we need, but we have to do something with them. That's why I'm saying that we have to work on ourselves and to develop our personal sense of self, to develop the understanding of who we are, and to see, are those things that are happening now in my life worthy of my time, my energy, my attention, my work, my efforts? Are those things worth of my sacrifices and efforts, or they are not worthy? We will see this. We will see things that are repeating and that are persistently there. So we will have a lot of work to do, but also a lot of those karmic releases that are happening along the way. And it's really a great time to understand the deeper layers of who we are and of what we are attached to and what we need to work on in order to release and burn that karma. I mean, we could talk about this whole day and many days probably, but I think these are the key messages and points of this eclipse that is happening right now. The next one will be in 2 weeks in Scorpio, and it's very, very intense and powerful. We'll talk about it in 2 weeks. I'm very excited about it in a good way, not in enthusiastic way, but in a very calm and grounded way. And I will explain to you why in 2 weeks. In the meantime, you can check out our website, moonomens.com, where you can find amazing content, monthly horoscopes, huge guidance there. You can find beautiful articles on every aspect and transit that Lucrezia writes. You can find books, you can find all kinds of things, calendars, journals, shadow work, Mercury retrograde, free article, all the things that you need. As I said, you have the ingredients, so go and work with them. And work on that trust, on self-trust. And remember, again, Rumi quote that came in, there is a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. Love you all and see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.